What's up, guys? Today is going to be my Kirby matchup chart. Now, first off, this is not my Kirby matchup chart. This is an aggregate matchup chart of about 13 or so different Kirby players. Now, this isn't the exact one, but I made it a little bit more readable and usable, and so I kind of flipped it around and stuff. But basically, Ken was the even point, and anything greater than that was positive, anything less than that was negative. The reason I'm showing you this is because I want you guys to have sort of a different opinion than mine. So, for example, if you disagree with what I say, maybe you agree with them. Now, I was working on a matchup chart about a year or so ago, which was using a results-based matchup chart, which is not this. This is just going to be a normal matchup chart. But basically what it did was it got rid of characters' spots on the tier list, ignored those, and just kind of really compared how their kits match up against each other, which makes it a lot more useful. For example, like Pichu, I put as a +2 because Kirby's kit matches up really well against Pichu's. So for example, if you're playing a character that is struggling against Pichu, against Fox, against Roy, Captain Falcon, I don't know, those type of characters, Kirby actually would be great for counterpicking. But in general, he doesn't really win those matchups super well, so you might not think of him as a counterpick character. But if you looked at the results-based matchup chart, you'd see those are a lot of like +1s and +2s. And then you realize that, oh, this is a really good counterpick character. But the problem with the results-based matchup chart is people were taking them out of context and posting them places. Like, I found it like in like 3 different places because I put Pichu at a +2, and people were saying, wow, this guy thinks that Kirby has a +2 matchup on Pichu. It's like, no, I explained in the first few seconds of the video that was not the case, but people don't listen. And so the world's not ready for that type of matchup chart. And because people were using it out of context, it was just kind of frustrating to see. Now, I'm not going to say everything about the matchup. I'm just going to try and give like just a little TLDR version of the matchup best I can. And also, being honest, I'm probably going to be a little influenced by Wi-Fi and just online play in general because that's most of my practice, I'll be honest. I don't play a lot of offline play. I'll try my best to not take that into account, but there will be certain characters that I know will be kind of biased on this list. But I'm letting you guys know. And also, this is more so with how I play the character. Maybe if you played a little bit differently or a different level of play than me, you will have different results. And I'll try and actually talk about that when it comes to that. So let's get started, starting with Rob. Now, I don't think many people really think that Rob is like the worst matchup for Kirby. I know most people think it's like very bad, so it's gonna end up being average out to being bad. I don't think it's Kirby's worst matchup though. I think we do have trouble getting in with Nair, but I think Rob's kind of disadvantage versus us is a little bit worse than a lot of these other characters. And he can't like successfully camp us out as well as a lot of these other people. We'll put him right around here for now. It'll move around though. Samus, I'll keep it at the bottom. I hate Samus, personally. I think that's also a bit because of Wi-Fi. Samus just is so annoying. Samus and Dark Samus both. We're going to lump them in together, though. It's very frustrating to play against. Even if you do get the power, it doesn't change it up that much. It can kind of help with how they camp you, and you are able to do a lot of cool setups to kill super early, but it doesn't make up for how bad the missiles and charge shots are, and just how hard it is for us to get in. Especially with forward air. Forward air is just so good at walling us out in the air, too, that it's bad. It's a bad matchup. Now, Game & Watch is pretty bad for Kirby, but the thing is, I think in this matchup, a little bit of matchup experience can go a long way. Like, if you're not playing to the matchup, among these guys, it might be Kirby's worst. But if you kind of know the matchup a little bit better, I think Kirby can do okay. It can be a little frustrating for the Game & Watch to play if you're not going in super aggressive, and if you are respecting his smash attacks. I think that Kirby actually can do better. Now, I'm not saying that it's good, but I'm going to move him down a little bit. Closer this way. The closer to the left you are, the better it is. So, now Shulk. Shulk is not fun. I know people will say, oh, but you can get the Monado Arts, which is maybe Kirby's best copy ability. But even with it, Shulk is going to be better at using the Monado Arts than you are. And just with how he can wall you out, it can make it very frustrating to play. So, I wouldn't put it this low. I will move him a little bit over. I'm trying to think, compared to Rob, I think it's better than Rob. So now Young Link, among the Links, it's probably his worst. I could see you arguing for Toon Link, but I would say Young Link is our worst. It can be just really hard to get in. The arrows are just super frustrating. Wi-Fi also makes this a little bit worse, but it is very frustrating to play. I'm going to leave him here. These are two of the ones that I least look forward to. Pac-Man's a little bit different than these guys. I'm actually going to move him up into sort of the -1 tier. At the bottom, though, I think that in this matchup, when you get the power, it's a lot closer to even than these other ones. While it's not like a super game changer, you can do a lot of good stuff with the powers that basically Pac-Man can do as well. But I don't personally struggle against Pac-Man as much as these other characters. I don't know. I wouldn't put him among Kirby's worst matchups, but it's still not good. No. Rob's already finding himself near the bottom. Meat Gunner. Meat Gunner is a really bad one. If you watch the crew battle Kirby had against Meat Gunners, you can see why that's just not fun. We're gonna put this among the worst. Yeah, this one it's real frustrating. Again, Wi-Fi might be biasing this a little bit, but it's real bad. Sonic, yeah, Sonic is really bad. I don't think that it's Kirby's worst. In Smash 4, I thought it was arguably Kirby's worst matchup. One of the worst matchups in the game was Kirby-Sonic. Ultimate made it a little bit better overall, but still not that bad. I'll put them ahead of Game & Watch, but yeah, these are kind of I guess, some of the most difficult ones to play. Yeah, that seems about right. There might be someone for -1 that I'll put down here. Corrin. Now, something interesting with Corrin is they put it among Kirby's 10 worst matchups. And also, they put Byleth among Kirby's 5 best, which is interesting. Now, I'm not saying that they're the same character even that similar, but I mean, in terms of playstyle, if I were to say who's most similar to Byleth and who's most similar to Corrin, I would put them decently close to each other, just with how they play and what kind of characters they are. Now, I know that Kirby has a bit more going in the Byleth matchup than Corrin. I just think that people were kind of biased by, like, day one Byleths, that they think it's, like, a super good matchup, and they haven't played many Byleths that want to camp them out and make the matchup frustrating. I think that it's not one of Kirby's 5 best matchups, and I don't think Corrin is one of Kirby's worst 10. So I'm gonna just kind of move Byleth over here and then Corrin up a little bit. I mean, Corrin juggles us really hard. We get walled out by their aerials, but like you could kind of say the same thing about Byleth. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time like comparing because I know they're very different characters, but like in terms of how they play and their advantages and disadvantages, like there's a bit of an overlap. So yeah, we're gonna move them up a little bit. I mean, I don't love playing against Corrins for sure, and I would much rather play Byleth than Corrin, but like they're not that far apart. Ike, it feels kind of weird to put Ike so low. I mean, we don't deal well with Ike's neutral air, but like saying that Ike is a worse matchup than Snake or Banjo seems a little off to me. I think because we can combo him so well. If you get decent at parrying his moves, I don't think it's too bad of a matchup, and I think we have a decent amount going for us. So I'm going to move it up a little bit. I mean, it's still pretty bad, but I wouldn't say it's as bad as a lot of these. Toon Link, yeah, it's bad. I'll leave him there. Snake, I used to think this was Kirby's worst matchup. I'm kind of changing that up a little bit. I don't know if I want to put him at -2. I don't think I do. I'll move him to the end of -1. Like, I would definitely say it's worse than Pac-Man. There's probably a little bit more in between here, but Snake, I don't know, his disadvantage state against us is a lot worse than I initially thought. And I think when I play him on Battlefield, it is terrible, but like on Final Destination, it's not that bad of a matchup. Now, it's still not good or anything, but I don't think it's one of... It's definitely not among these matchups. Lucas isn't too bad. I'm going to move him up a little bit as well. I don't love playing Lucas's, but I think we have a little bit going for us in the matchup. Banjo, I'm actually going to move to -2. Maybe Wi-Fi again, but Kirby really struggles to get in against Banjo if they want to play that campy zoning game. It can be really frustrating. Pokemon Trainer, I mean, I'll leave around here. I think Ivysaur is kind of that big one where we are just at risk of dying super early to him. If we get to the point where they bring out Charizard, then I feel the matchup actually isn't too bad, because if they didn't get that super early kill with Ivysaur, we're doing okay. But, like, we just get destroyed by Ivysaur, and it's just no fun. So I guess we'll leave him here. It's kind of hard to rate these individually, but it's really bad. Duck Hunt, I'm going to move a little bit. I'll just switch places with him. Duck Hunt is hard to get in against, but, like, compared to Snake, it's just a little bit better. And I find myself living decently long against him, because he has to commit decently hard if he wants to land an early kill against us. So I think we do better against Duck Hunt than a lot of these matchups. But not by much. It's still really frustrating to play. Inkling, this is a personal one. I really hate the Inkling matchup. I'm going to move her down to -2 because we have a big up throw up air range. We die super early if we get rollered, which is just really scary. It's hard to get in against like Jab. Jab is just so good. It's just super frustrating to play this matchup. And the thing is, even if we get like a read on their recovery, like if we hit them with a down air, it doesn't kill till like 140, 150. So like edge guarding them while we can hit them. So I just really hate this matchup. It might be more of a personal thing, but Mega Man. Now I used to think Mega Man was closer to even just because I was kind of going off of Smash 4 stuff. And I think the changes in Ultimate kind of favored him in this matchup, kind of like the opposite of Sonic. And I don't know, I just have been having more trouble against them recently. I don't know if they're getting better or what, but like things like Leaf Shield can just be really hard to play against. I think you have kind of noticed this. These are the really bad ones are the ones that want to camp Kirby, and Kirby just can't get in. But, I mean, getting the power can be decently nice. We can do some really fun stuff with it, but it doesn't make it enough to push it to, like, even or -0.5. I will move him up a little bit, though, because I don't think it's horribly bad. Now, Ivysaur is pretty much the worst of Pokemon Trainer. I don't want to put him like this close to Pokemon Trainer because it kind of seems a little silly. Because that would almost be saying it's better to solo main Ivysaur against Kirby than play Pokemon Trainer. But, I mean, it's a really frustrating matchup. Like, his forward air and his side B, like, kind of wall us out a bit, and we die super early to him. It's not fun. Like, solo Ivysaur would do better against us than the combination of Squirtle Charizard. So, it's not fun. Pikachu. Now, Pikachu, I don't hate this matchup. I think Kirby does decently well against Pikachu. I do think we get edge-guarded by Pikachu almost worse than anyone else in the cast, but I think that our kit does decently well, kind of similar to how we do decently well against Pichu. Now, I wouldn't put the difference between Pikachu and Pichu this far apart, but I think we do decently well. I'm almost tempted to put him into -0.5, and actually I think I will. Just because I don't have a ton of problem in this matchup. I find myself living decently long. I find myself killing Pikachu pretty early. I think in theory, though, as the Pikachu and Kirby players, like if they get better and better, I think this might end up being a little bit worse. But I think in practical play, it's not going to be that bad. I do think we can get camped by Pikachu a little bit with Thunder Jolts and stuff, but I don't think it's as effective as a lot of these other characters. Onto Diddy Kong. I don't think Diddy Kong is that bad of a matchup either. I'm going to move this to -0.5. I don't think it's that bad of a matchup. I mean, he doesn't do anything super special against Kirby that he doesn't do against a lot of the other portion of the cast. And we can edgeguard him decently. So it's not fantastic for us, but I think we do okay. Greninja's not a fun matchup. It's very frustrating to play. We can kind of get camped, but also like we die early to his stuff. A lot of his setups work pretty well against us, so it's not fun. Yoshi is a matchup I personally have always struggled with. I think I am getting better at the matchup, but I don't love it personally. This might, again, be more of a personal choice, but I'm going to move it down right around here. I think it is better than I initially thought. I used to think it was probably one of his worst 5 or so, but it's really not fun to play. He just destroys us in the air and can actually edgeguard us surprisingly well, while we can't edgeguard him that well. And we have to kind of play this matchup grounded. We have to play it a little differently than we're used to, but I still don't think it's that great. Ivysaur again, yeah, not good. Mega Man. When we get in against Ridley, like, we do fine. Like, we get more off of some of those exchanges than just about anyone else in the cast. But we are at risk of dying early to stuff. There's no, like, super easy game plan. So I think Kirby does about what you would expect in this matchup, maybe a little bit worse. I'll move him up a little, but it's really not great. Alomar is kind of hard to say. I haven't played many Alomars. Getting the power can make the matchup, like, obnoxious. But I haven't struggled too hard in this. I find myself getting some really early kills and sometimes finding myself living decently long. But I really don't know too much about this matchup to really give a super strong opinion one way or the other. So I guess I'll leave him around here. This seems about right where he should be. Cloud can be both lopsided for Kirby and really against Kirby. We edgeguard him pretty hard. It's sort of hard to compare, like, Ike and Cloud this matchup. I think Cloud is a little better than Ike. I've seen some varied opinions on this one. I don't have a super strong opinion on this one either. Because, I mean, I find myself beating Clouds that I felt played better than me, but I also find myself losing to Clouds that I feel played pretty bad. So it's sort of hard to give a super solid opinion one way or the other, but we'll put him around here. Now, I don't love the Nest matchup. We edgeguard him pretty hard, but if you watch good Nest players, they're able to mix up their recovery very well, where it almost seems impossible to edgeguard them. But I think that it's not great. I don't know. It's kind of hard to compare that to Lucas. I think I'll put him right around here. I'd rather play a Ness than a Greninja, but probably not by much. That seems about right to where he should be. Rosalina and Luma in Smash 4 was horrible, but in Ultimate does not seem so bad. I actually think I'm going to put it up here. So I don't think Rosalina and Luma is that bad. It's just that it's not really fun to play, and I think if we can get rid of Luma, while we do, like, get juggled and stuff very easily, I think if we get rid of Luma, it can be okay. And we also can kill pretty early. Like, if we kind of just, like, wall out with back airs and stuff, like, back air I find is really good in this matchup. And I don't have a ton of experience in the matchup, but I think it's not incredibly bad. Mewtwo, this is a little tougher. I think Mewtwo hates playing Kirby because we just, like, naturally duck under a lot of his stuff, and we find ourselves, like, killing him early, but the fact is, he can really kind of camp us out, and his aerials kind of really beat ours out, so I think I'll move him down a little bit, but I don't know, I don't think it's, like, worse than a lot of these. I don't know, maybe right around here. I think Mewtwo mains might disagree, but if the Mewtwo really wants to camp us out, he can do it very effectively. So, Simon and Richter. This might be biased by Wi-Fi, but I really don't like this matchup. I'm going to move him down. Put him right around where Pac-Man is. That sounds about right. Now, as the Simon and Richter, they have to be very scared of getting grabbed against us, especially like at 0%, maybe around mid-stage or so, because there's like maybe a 33% chance we can kill off of that, because we can do the fourth or forward air, fourth or down air, I believe that works on them, and we get them off stage. If we can kind of guess how they're going to recover right, we can kill them pretty much at 0 from a grab. Second we get them off stage, you know, it's very scary for them. But the fact is, we have to get in against them, and that can be really hard. I think this is very stage dependent as well. Certain stages we will be really, really hard to get in against, but I think if we're playing on Final Destination, I don't think it's that bad. But I do think it's one of Kirby's real bad matchups. I might move it to -2, but I think that might just be the Wi-Fi talking, honestly. Me Sword Fighter, I can't have too strong opinions against Me Sword Fighter because I haven't played that many Me Sword Fighters. I don't really know the matchup. But from what I have played, they can wall us out pretty well. So I'm going to move them down a little bit, kind of around Mewtwo level or so. But it's obviously a lot better than me Gunner. I'd much rather play a Me Sword Fighter than a Gunner. Luigi, I really don't like. I'm actually going to move to -1, right around where Cloud is at. I mean, we died to a grab at 0, but yeah, a lot of characters do, but a lot of characters also have better ways of avoiding the grab. The only way Kirby can hit Luigi is basically to be in that grab range. So the beginning of a stock for us is just so scary. We have to play very lame to really avoid getting grabbed. And also, like, things like up smash and down B do pretty solid against this, just because how close Kirby needs to be to hit their opponent. It's kind of at that range where we're going to get hit by some of those moves. Yeah, we can kind of bait him out and then punish him for it, but it can be really scary. Marcin Lucina, I don't think they're too bad. When I've played Mr. E, I've played him a few times, I don't think that Lucina is too horrible, and he even said that himself. He thinks that Kirby does pretty well in the matchup. Not enough to put it at winning, but an interesting thing in these two matchups is I think Marth does better in the matchup, and that's mostly because of where Kirby likes to be in matchups in general, is sort of like right outside the character's range, and then to kind of bait and punish them. But where Kirby likes to be and where Kirby is going to be when he's hitting his opponent is sort of where Marth gets his tippers. And so we find ourselves getting tippered a lot because we have to get in against our opponent to hit them. So I think I'm going to move him down here and move Lucina up a little bit. I don't know, just kind of blindly around there. So I do think that Marth is worse than Lucina. Villager. Villager getting the pocket is really fun. It can really flip the matchup a bit. But I'm going to put him more close to like where Luigi and Cloud are at -1. Just because Villager really walls us out. It can be really hard to get in against Villager. And if Villager wants to play the patient game, there's not much we can do against it. Getting the power makes it a little better, and we have some really cool setups with that, but I don't think it's enough to make it like close to even or anything. Zero Suit I'll keep around here. In Smash 4, I think this was winning for Kirby. While the transition to Ultimate kind of made Zero Suit worse, I also think it somehow made the matchup worse. But Kirby does have a decent amount going for him in the matchup, just with how much he ducks under stuff, and being able to just kind of safely poke Zero Suit. But Zero Suit's just general mobility make it a little bit frustrating, so I'll leave it right around there. Wario. Now Wario I'm going to put at -1, just because I think at high level it gets pretty bad. I think around mid-level, I think Kirby does around even in this matchup, but if you watch Gluttony versus Chalk, you can see why Wario wins. I mean, you had pretty much the best Wario versus the best Kirby, and that's a really good showing of it. And while Chalk did win the first set, I think Gluttony was really able to adjust in the matchup. And if you watch that set, you can really see how Kirby can struggle. But it's not a horribly bad matchup. It is winnable, especially at mid-level. Charizard is a little weird because we're really only going to be facing him mostly at those high percents. I think that we don't have a great answer to back air. I think that it can be kind of hard to play against that. But if we can bait it out, we can do okay. It's also weird, though, among the heavy characters that they put him as kind of the worst, which I don't really think is true. I'm going to move him up a little bit. Not exactly sure where to, maybe around here. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge these characters because it's like, how are you using them? Are you using them as a solo main? Or are you using them only when they're like supposed to be used? So it's a little hard to kind of judge these matchups, but I don't think that Charizard's our worst, like, super heavy character. Zelda, I don't like this matchup, but this also might be affected by Wi-Fi. I mean, on Wi-Fi, I think it's like probably one of Kirby's 5 worst matchups, but I'm gonna put him at -1, kind of around the Luigi level. I mean, I should probably be moving some of these characters around, fine-tuning where they're at, but generally that's about where they're gonna go. But I don't think that Zelda is that close to even, especially when you compare it to some of these other characters. I think it's a bit worse. Bowser Jr., I think this is a decent spot for him. We can struggle a little bit in this matchup, but I find myself not hating it too much. I think in this matchup, a little bit of matchup experience can go a long way, so I don't think it's too bad. Now, Wolf is one of those matchups where Kirby can do pretty solid. Like, you would expect this to be a -1 or -2, but it's actually kind of close to even. I'm going to move him actually up a little bit. I'm a little optimistic on this. I know that he can wall us out a little bit with forward air and his blaster, but I think that's sort of a Wi-Fi thing. I think in real life, Kirby can do pretty good. We edge guard him decently hard, and really all the spacies we do pretty solid against. Joker, another top tier that we don't do too bad against. I think that this matchup is really frustrating for the Joker player. I think that if we kind of just play a safe game, Joker can kind of struggle. I think he's sort of forced to camp us, which Joker isn't that great at doing, especially when you compare to kind of like these -2 matchups. Joker can't camp us out that hard. I think that's about right. I think Joker definitely has the advantage, but I think Kirby does surprisingly well. Link. Now, a lot of top Kirbys don't struggle against Link. You might think it would be a bad matchup when you look at like where Toon Link and Young Link are, but Link is not as effective at camping us out, and we also combo him a bit harder and edgeguard him decently well, so we can do pretty good in the matchup. I wouldn't put it even, I think that would be a little optimistic, but I'm okay with keeping him around here. Now, Bowser and Donkey Kong, I'm going to kind of talk about them together because we kind of play a similar game against them. Now, at mid-level, I do think Kirby wins, or at least does very well against these guys. But the problem is, as you get better, like both Kirby and Bowser, the matchup gets worse and worse. Because what happens is they don't go for those moves that you can easily punish, and they basically have to play the matchup almost as if they were playing like against a Luigi, where they know if they get grabbed at 0, things are not going to go well for them. Bowser's forward air does so well, we kind of have to approach, and the Fire Breath, we find ourselves taking a lot of damage. Now, the Bowser doesn't love playing the matchup, it's very stressful for them, same with Donkey Kong. But the thing is, overall, they're going to be living pretty long. Yeah, we can get some edge guards against them, but they can edge guard us with moves like forward air or Donkey Kong with back air, and it can be very scary as the Kirby player too. So I think it's a matchup where as the higher up you go, the more scary and frustrating it will be. So I'm actually going to move him. I'm not going to move him all the way down to -1. I know a lot of people think that it's a winning matchup or even, but I think that's really only at the mid-level. Now, don't get me wrong. Bowser does not enjoy playing the matchup against Kirby, and it's super stressful for them. But in theory, I don't think that the Bowser should really be losing that hard to Kirby. And same thing with Donkey Kong. I mean, yeah, we can edgeguard him well. Yeah, we can combo him well. But that doesn't make it a good matchup, because there's just so much more to that. And yeah, again, it's not fun to play the matchup as Donkey Kong, but I really don't think it's even or winning at the higher levels of play. So now on to Chrom and Roy. I'm going to be talking about them together as well. Now, Roy has the opposite of the tipper. He's got the strong base of the move, which means that he has to be really in close to his opponent, which means Kirby will be doing well in the matchup. I think Roy has to commit a lot harder to get in compared to Chrom, and these actually can be very frustrating for both the Roy and Chrom. I think Chrom does a better job of kind of walling us out and being able to play safer. We do edge guard him a little bit harder, but I do think it is actually kind of fair to be able to keep them this far apart. I know a lot of people think that these sort of are winning matchups, but it's kind of hard for me to put them at winning because of just how good these characters are overall in just the meta. Like on my results-based matchup chart, I would definitely put them at winning. But on here, it's hard to say. I'm going to put them at around even. I don't think it's winning just because of how good of a character Roy is. So I can see people that put him at winning though, but I'm just not that optimistic of a person. Squirtle, actually am okay with this. It kind of feels like you're playing against Sheik, but a little bit smaller. I don't have a ton of trouble playing against Squirtle. I often find myself kind of getting him off stage and actually killing him before he even gets to Ivysaur sometimes. So I'm actually going to put this one right around even-ish. I don't think it's too bad. Mario, I used to think this was one of Kirby's really bad matchups, especially in Smash 4. But I think the fact that Mario really has to get in close with his opponent to be able to really consistently hit them makes that good for Kirby, because Kirby can kind of just box against Mario and do decently well. I will kind of put it a little bit lower. I don't think it's that close to even, just because of how hard we get juggled and stuff. But I do think that it's not a horrible matchup for Kirby. Now, I think Kirby does decently well against Peach. I do think Peach's forward air does really well against us. I think it gets a lot of mileage in the matchup. And we actually can get edge guarded by Peach decently well. If they are able to do some of the crazy Peach combos, then it can be pretty scary, which is why I'm not going to put it at even. Like when I played against Samsora at Frostbite, outside of the 0 to 60 combos he was doing on me, it felt like it was a fine matchup. On to DDD. Now, DDD is a weird one because we are going to be getting most of the hits off. We're going to be comboing him really hard, but a lot of times we're not finding kills until 180, 200. I think we have some of the most trouble killing DDD, because unlike the other heavies, we can't edge guard him super well because he has so many jumps and has a decent recovery. It's kind of hard to say where I'd put him. I'm gonna move him down, I guess. I could see someone putting this as even or winning, and I wouldn't like disagree super hard, but I don't know. Next we have Pitt, and I'll also lump in Dark Pit. Now people put this at close to even, and I don't really agree with that. I really personally don't like this matchup. I think that I struggle a lot with it. Maybe it's just how I play, but I'm gonna move him down. I'm gonna put him kind of around this level. Yeah, I find myself having about the same success as I do these other characters. Now, Pitt versus Dark Pit, I mean, so Pitt has the stronger arrows and the side B that kills off the side more so than the top. I don't know which one I would put at better or worse. I think Dark Pit's arrows, like, I don't think we mind getting hit by Pitt's arrows even though they find us easier. I think we are at risk of dying to Dark Pit's arrows sometimes. But also, in the matchup, getting Dark Pit's arrows I think are better because Pitt doesn't mind getting hit by Pitt's arrows because his recovery's so good. But I guess I'll put Pitt worse than Dark Pit, but that doesn't really matter. That's whatever. Now, for Meta Knight, I personally haven't struggled too hard in this matchup. In Smash 4, it was really bad. I'm not seeing the same things that I struggled with in Smash 4. I think our tilts actually do pretty well in the matchup. It gets us pretty far. I'll move him up a little bit, but I don't think it's too bad. Now, Isabelle, I think is decently bad. I mean, it's a lot of the bad stuff that you have against Villager and also the Lloyd Rocket, which I don't think we deal with that well. I'm going to move down. Put right around here, I guess. I think we actually can struggle a bit against Isabelle. I think that it is kind of frustrating in play, and I think it can be kind of hard to deal with the fishing line and the Lloyd Rocket and the slingshot just all together make it kind of a frustrating matchup. I have gotten better at the matchup recently because I think what I was doing was respecting the fishing line too much, but there's a little bit more end lag than you might expect. But even then, I still can kind of struggle with this one. Ooh, Palutena, one of the high tiers that we do pretty well against. I will... Yeah, I can leave it. I can put it around even. I can see that. I used to think it was pretty bad, but I have gotten a lot better in the matchup, and I have not been struggling against them too hard. So I would say watch Ron versus Zachary in that grand finals of the Japan tournament, but like Zachary's Palutena is not like a normal Palutena, so maybe don't watch that. But I think Kirby does decently well in the matchup. Forward air gets you a lot of mileage. You can duck under some stuff, so it's not too bad. Lucario, man, it's hard to give a number on Lucario just because the matchup is so all over the place. I feel like I've lost to so many bad Lucarios, but I've beaten so many good Lucarios, and that's just because of his aura makes it very inconsistent of the character. I'll move him a little closer to here, but I don't know. Ooh, so Ken and Ryu. This is an interesting one. I don't have a super strong opinion again of which one I like more or less. I tend to do better against Ryu's than Ken's, but I'm not sure if there's any type of bias there. I think we do okay in the matchup. I think forward air gets us a lot of mileage in this matchup. We duck under a lot of stuff. We can edge guard them pretty well. And we can inhale footstool them, I believe, pretty well too. I'm a little hesitant to put at winning. I know a lot of people put them at winning, but I'm going to keep them around even. I think it's fair to say that. Hero, I'm going to move down a little bit. I think this is one of the matchups where having the power is super nice, but they also can get bounce, so that can kind of invalidate that. But I do think that Hero can kind of wall us out a little bit, and Hero's neutral B really can just be super scary against us, and they can kind of camp us out. I also find myself getting hit by a lot of side Bs as well, but that might just be me getting overly aggressive in the matchup, but I don't think it's an even matchup. Piranha Plant is a strange one, because I think this is the matchup where getting the power is the biggest difference. I think without the power, I think it's close to a -1, maybe -0.5, but with the power, all of a sudden, it's like really good. So it's a little hard to rate this one. I'll put a little lower. I'll put closer to -0.5, but it's around even, just because of how good the matchup is with the power, I think. Fox is a strange one. We do the inhale footstool really well. We edgeguard him super well. We combo him decently well, not as well as we did in Smash 4, but, I mean, the Spaceys just kind of struggle against us. It's really frustrating to play this matchup as Fox. I think people can kind of underestimate how well he juggles us and stuff, but I think this is a pretty decent matchup. I'll leave around here. I don't want to put him at minus 0.5. I think it's pretty good. Sheik, I actually am going to move up. I know I haven't moved many characters up. Most of them have been moving down. I'm going to move up, put him around here for right now. I don't think that they can really needle camp us well. I think that we find ourselves killing them first, getting that first stock most of the time, and when that happens, she can really struggle. And we can live to really high percents against Sheik. I believe Sheik is actually lighter than us, or maybe the same weight, right around that same weight. Like, we can reliably kill Sheik a lot better than she can kill us. Kind of like in Smash 4, where we actually went about even with Sheik, and Sheik is a lot worse of a character now than they were in Smash 4. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good matchup. I know I'd already moved Byleth a little bit. I'm going to move Byleth around even. I think a lot of people were biased by the day 1 Byleth, so... I'm going to put it right around here. I haven't played too many really good Byleths, so it's kind of hard to say. But I find myself getting hit by things like up smash out of shield and stuff. Like, it really does a good job of getting Kirby, because a lot of things that like might be safe with Kirby in other matchups might not be safe here. So, I don't know. Ice Climbers, I think, is winning, although I haven't played any like super great Ice Climbers, which scares me, because I know one day the Ice Climber is going to come out and just destroy us all. I think Inhale's an interesting one because you can shoot out and hit Nana with Popo, or if you hit the other way around, and it can kill surprisingly early. So that's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm definitely going to leave in here. Bayonetta, I'm going to move to even. While Kirby does have a bit going for him in the matchup, I don't think it overall is enough to really put it that well. I do think Bayo combos us decently well, so like I find myself taking a lot of percent. Maybe I'm not SDIing perfectly, but in my opinion, this is one of the most even matchups out there. Incineroar's one where, kind of like Donkey Kong and Bowser, where I think at high level, it gets a lot worse. At mid-level, you can really punish Incineroar for doing some dumb things, but Kirby dies really early to a lot of Incineroar's stuff. I think Incineroars really don't like this matchup because of just how obnoxious Kirby can be, but I would put it closer to even than winning, personally. Dr. Mario is kind of strange because, like, you have a lot of the positives that you have in the Mario matchup without a lot of the negatives, but there's also a couple little things that Dr. Mario has, like the up B out of shield, being able to kill, but we edge guard him very hard. I'm going to put it closer to even, though. I don't personally think it's winning, but I see the arguments for it. I do think we win against Mii Brawler, not like super well. I played a very solid Mii Brawler at the Box Online tournament, and that was probably the best Mii Brawler I've ever played, but even then, it didn't feel like it was super bad matchup for Kirby. I don't have a ton to say about it, but it's a lot better than Mii Gunner and Mii Sword Fighter, I will say that. Puff, I also think, is winning very slightly, but from what I've heard, Drill Rest is like most reliable on Kirby, which does actually scare me a little bit. But I don't think that it's so bad. I think that we kind of are more reliable at killing. We can anti-air pretty well with like up tilts. Our tilts are a lot better. We do better on the ground. And just, we find ourselves killing with moves like up smash since it's disjointed. It can kill very early against Puff. Like when we're at like 120, Puff really needs like a backer to kill us. And if we kind of play patiently and play around that, I think we do okay. Now, my Robin opinion might be a little controversial, and I did think this was one of our best matchups at the beginning of the Ultimate, but the more Robins I've played, the more I feel that this is actually even, maybe even losing. I'm going to move down here. I think that we kind of get walled out and camped more than I thought. I know Robin is super slow, and we can combo Robin decently well, and even edge guard him pretty well, but I think that Robin just can be a little obnoxious. And I find myself dying to Robin just super early, and it can just be a little frustrating if they want to really camp us. Pichu, now Pichu I don't think is that different from Pikachu. It's kind of weird that they put Pikachu as like one of the worst 20 and Pikachu is like one of our best 10. I think this is even or like slightly losing. I don't think it's winning, but Kirby has a lot going for us in the Pichu matchup. I think there are a ton of things that Kirby can do super well. We find ourselves killing Pichu super early, and Pichu can't super effectively camp us because they will be taking percent. Even though it's like very small percent, I think Pichus know that they eventually will have to really go in against us. And since their moves aren't that big, and we don't get comboed super hard unlike a lot of the other casts, I think Kirby does pretty well. I don't know how I feel against Terry. I feel like I have lost to a lot of bad Terrys, but beaten a lot of good Terrys, and it's a little strange. We duck under a ton of stuff, but I am a little hesitant to put it at winning. I'll move him down. Compared to Ken and Ryu, I don't quite know. I don't have a ton to say about this one. I mean, we combo him really hard, and we can duck under a decent amount of stuff, but if we're not able to kill him before 100, it gets a little scary. Now, Captain Falcon, this is a pretty good matchup. This always is going to be good because Kirby can combo him pretty well. He can duck under a lot of stuff. He's a fast faller, so we can find ourselves getting jab locks and stuff on him at higher percents than other characters, potentially, or tech chasing. And, yeah, this is a good one. I'll leave him at +1 because I do like this matchup. Ganondorf is another one we do well against. We also edgeguard him very well. I don't know which one I'd rather play. Well, I also think I'm slightly biased because I've played a lot of really bad Ganondorf, so when I play really good Ganondorf, I'm like, oh geez, this actually isn't that good of a matchup, but I'll leave him up there because I don't want to be too pessimistic. Falco, I actually think Falco's our best matchup. I really do. I think that this matchup is pretty solid for Kirby. It's got a lot of the positives of a like Fox and Wolf without having some of the crazy negatives. I do think up tilt can be a little scary, but we deal with it a lot better than a lot of the other characters in the cast. We edgeguard him very well. This might be Kirby's best matchup. King K. Rool, this might be a little controversial, but I don't think this is that winning. I'm actually going to put him around even. I think King K. Rool can do a decently good job of camping us out. I think most King K. Rools don't do that because they're not used to doing that, but I think that King K. Rool can be kind of hard to get in against. I think things like down smash can be very scary because Kirby has to be really close to King K. Rool to be able to get in, and down smash, like if we're playing safe with poking with tilts and stuff, we can find ourselves getting hit by that and dying super early. Now don't get me wrong, I would imagine King K. Rools hate playing this matchup, but I don't think it's super winning. Now Little Mac can be a little frustrating at times because we have a hard time dealing with KO Punch because the only way we can really hit Little Mac is if we are in KO Punch area range, kind of. So it can be a little scary to deal with that, but this is one of the few matchups where we can actually kind of camp him, and Kirby planking at the ledge against Little Mac is really scary, because the second we get him off stage, man, it can be super scary for the Mac. And we just have so many ways of edge guarding him and dealing with him off stage that it's really nice. I realize I didn't talk about Wii Fit Trainer. Wii Fit Trainer, a lot of people think is actually Kirby's best matchup. I don't quite think that. I think that while we do duck under a ton of stuff, I think that Wii Fit does a decent job of camping against us. And honestly, in terms of success I've had against Wii Fit Trainers, I think I've had more success against Ganondorf and Captain Falcons. So I guess I actually kind of want to put it around where in between Captain Falcon and Ganondorf, honestly. And while it may be one of Wii Fit's worst matchups, I don't personally think that just being able to duck under stuff is really enough to make the matchup so good. And I think there is some stuff that Wii Fit can do in terms of just camping and killing us early that make it not as amazing as like Falco or Little Mac. So I know this might look a little pessimistic, basically saying Kirby has as many -2s as he does winning matchups, but I think that's decently accurate. I think to be able to play Kirby at a high level and consistently make it far in bracket, you'll probably need someone for some of these -2s. I'd love to see it getting proven wrong, and while I do think that Kirby can be a great secondary to a character that can like struggle in a lot of kind of these matchups, it's pretty hard to put Kirby as super solo viable. But overall, yeah, this is about what I think. I don't think my views differ too much from a lot of Kirby mains. I think that my views on the heavies are a little bit more negative than a lot of them, but other than that, I think we mostly agree on stuff. But the thing is, I'm just really hesitant to put a lot of these matchups at plus 0.5, just because while we do have some gimmicky stuff that can do well in the matchup, a lot of these, or at least a few of these, are just such more well-rounded characters that it's kind of weird to put them at winning. So I think that's about it. If you skip to the end, then, I mean, that's fine. That's usually what I do with these matchup chart videos. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Let me know if you disagree with anything, like, super hard. I'd love to hear if you're having success against a character that I put as losing, or if you're losing against a character that I said was +1 or something. So let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more Kirby content or Smash content in general. Leaving a like and commenting on the video helps me out a lot, so I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. The links to this image and the original Kirby matchup chart will be in the description. Follow me on Twitch or join the Discord if you would like, and thank you so much again for watching. Peace.